We've talked about saturated fat many times here at Wen Wellness, and in a positive light, where we say saturated fat intake is not associated with heart disease. Saturated fat does not cause heart disease unless it is gotten from processed meats, processed foods, right? And so if you're eating good whole food from nature, meat that is grass finished preferably, and let's talk about beef here, right? Because let's talk about red meat, then, you know, it shouldn't have a negative effect on heart health. But there are better types of fat that you can have for your gut. I wanted to follow up our gut video yesterday with this today because we have talked about saturated fat in a good light, but this is a bad light, okay? And so it relatively has somewhat of a neutral or even negative effect on overall health in the sense that it can increase levels of harmful bacteria in your gut, like Bacteroidetes or Firmicutes or Helicobacter pylori. And whatever the names of these don't matter, but you don't want an imbalance of gut bacteria. You don't want too many bad bacteria and too few good bacteria, right? This can lead to things like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth or SIBO, right? It can lead to a wide array of problems. And interestingly, beef does have some butyrate, okay? And what is butyrate? Well, it's an SCFA, or short-chain fatty acid, that is a metabolite, meaning a byproduct of metabolism when your good bacteria break down fiber and produce things, right? AKA these metabolites. And butyrate has a beneficial effect on cognitive function, raising levels of dopamine and serotonin, so mood, right? Motivation, reward, happiness, pleasure, also immune function and metabolism. Okay, so it's not as simple to say everything in these foods that have saturated fat are bad for you, because you look at something like butter, and butter actually has the highest amount of butyrate of any food in nature. So if you're getting grass-fed butter, acorns flying everywhere. There's a squirrel going to town up there. I was getting covered with little bits of he's chopping away. So I stand back a little bit here. You know, butter has the highest amounts of butyrate, right? And that's a great thing for our gut. So grass-fed butter, right, has a beneficial effect on gut health. Red meat, processed meat's the worst, but red meat does not have as good of effect on gut health. It could have a negative effect. So, you know, that is to say, and what meat has higher butyrate than beef, right? Would be chicken, would be a better option. Fish and seafood are really our top option when it comes to meat and supporting gut health and overall health. They have those bioactive fats, EPA and DHA, like we talked about yesterday. Those healthy fats support microbial diversity. We like a nice diverse gut microbiome, support your intestinal lining and the production of gut bacteria and all these good things, right? And so when we talk about other foods that are high in butyrate, well, we have plant-based foods are very high, and these are ones that contain soluble fiber, pretty much fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts and seeds, things of that nature. And what are some things that contain healthy fats, right? Because we would like butyrate and we would also like healthy fats as our best combo here for the gut. And this isn't, you know, talking about fiber, which is amazing for your gut, soluble fiber, right? And antioxidants and all these things. But we have things like olives. Extra virgin olive oil is fantastic. I take a shot every single day. It has a beneficial effect on metabolism, reduces blood viscosity, blood pressure, improving blood flow. It's great for your heart. It's great for your brain. It's great for really everything, right? So extra virgin olive oil. Avocados are good. Okay, of course, fish, fatty fish, like salmon, mackerel, tuna, herring, sardines, anchovies, stuff like that. And nuts and seeds, right? So these all have high amounts of unsaturated fat, which are great. And remember, we said plant-based foods, a lot of them are rich in butyrate, which has a beneficial effect on gut health. And the reason I really want to talk about this is because you look at beef, and it is full of great nutrition. If you get grass-finished beef, it is not bad for you overall. I do not want you to think that. I eat grass-finished beef, but it should be limited. You know, it has all the B vitamins. It has all the essential amino acids that we need to get from nature that our body does not make itself. they're called essential because we need to get them from nature, and they're building blocks of proteins, right? So supporting all sorts of functions and muscle growth and bone density and all these things, health of tendons and ligaments and whatever, and supporting longevity in the body, right? And it has a lot of good heme iron, does red meat. It has carnitine that shuttles long-chain fatty acids from the liquidy part of the cell, the cytosol, through the mitochondrial membrane, or the membrane of our energy powerhouse, we could say, to get into that energy powerhouse, and then, to promote fat burning, the burning of that fat. So overall, it isn't bad, but we have better options, and it should be limited, okay? So it should be limited. Maybe one day a week, you have that grass-finished beef. And pretty much for me, this is what I do every other day. I could have chicken. Chicken is good too. But personally, seafood makes me feel the best, right? And there's all this science out there, and you look at supplements and all these trials, and to supplement that, I guess, pun intended, with an example of how it's not just the research, it's about positive anecdotes, and it's about how it makes you feel, because everybody's body is so unique. Really, more than anything, when I developed Super You, there were so many supplements that purportedly did these things. I took them, I had other people try them, and they were all natural, and they were good for you, and this and that, but I didn't feel a whole lot, right? And so I said, well, maybe let's look at some things that have a little bit less research, preliminary research, just a few trials, but I feel a substantial effect, a tangible effect. And so the same thing goes for what you're eating, right? And so if you feel really good like I do from eating a lot of seafood, well, the science is there for the seafood as well, which is nice. But on top of that, it just makes me feel great. So I would say I'd fill 6 days with seafood, 1 day with the grass-finished beef. And grass-finished is better than grass-fed, right? Because they ate grass their whole lives, right? Grass-fed, they just had to have it for like the last 30 days or whatever, and they could put that on the label, right? A bunch of bullshit. If you get organic, whatever, that's all the best with pretty much everything. But grass finish is really what you're looking for. And very importantly, almost equally important, I would say, is that it's lean. So we say fat is your friend in terms of metabolism, but we would like more unsaturated fats. Okay, we're more into the beef for the vitamins and minerals and the iron and the carnitine, all this good stuff, and the protein, right? But if you're looking for other micronutrients and healthier forms of fat, then plant-based does hold its place. So what does a carnivore diet lack? We've talked about this at When Wellness before. Magnesium, folate, aka B9, right? We know that for preventing neural tube defects. Pregnant women should have their folic acid, which is a synthetic form. Methyl tetrahydrofolate is even better. That's what's in Super You, baby. So we have those. We have vitamin E, vitamin C, and fiber, of course, right? So if we can have all those things with a carnivore diet, modified carnivore diet, and you can either supplement with them, or you could have foods like citrus fruits and red bell pepper and kiwi that are rich in vitamin C, and berries, right? Berries are great. They're full of antioxidants and also fiber. All those also have fiber, which is great. Leafy greens are really high in folate. You could have liver. Liver has a lot of them, and even has folate, actually. It's like one of the only types of, animal sources, meat, it's not animal sources, it is, but meat sources that has folate. In terms of vitamin E, things like pumpkin seeds, really nuts and seeds in general, and they also have fiber. They also have magnesium. Chia seeds are fantastic. They have magnesium, they have fiber, they have complete protein, right? And so, you could supplement with that. So what are we lacking with the all plant-based? And this is why I don't go to either one, right? And not to get too off track on the video here, really wanted to talk about unsaturated fat and saturated fat and their effects on gut health. So I hope that was kind of the drive home. But this is useful information, I think, as well, while we're on the topic. When somebody eats all plants, right, they're not getting enough heme iron, they're not getting enough B12, right? They typically lack omega-3s, right? EPA and DHA, which you find in animal foods, okay? And if you're thinking, well, they have ALA, these plant-based foods, it's inefficiently converted to EPA and DHA in the body. It's like 5 to 10%, negligible. You need to eat so much ALA to have healthy amounts of EPA and DHA. So just eat some fish, right? Would be the best option. Creatine, carnitine, there's no beta-alanine, right? And so all these things are important for overall health that we lack there in a plant-based diet, right? So really being to either end and an extreme doesn't really make sense for overall health, and it doesn't make sense for your gut, you guys. And again, I don't want to just shred red meat here because it is overall not bad for you. I have to really emphasize that again, but it should be limited. There are better options. And butter, believe it or not, actually benefits gut health, even though it is high in saturated fat, because it has so much butyric acid, so much butyrate. And again, that's a metabolite produced in your gut that does all these healthy things. So before we go, you damn right, we gotta sing to my baby sister and best friend, Natalie Wend. How about that? That rhymed. All right. I love you so much. This is always going to be your day in the book of Wend Wellness forever and ever and ever and ever. So this is for you, and I'll probably sing to you in person, unless you could hear me if you're inside making that food right now. I'll try to sing loud so you can hear me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Natalie. Happy birthday to you. And so many more, baby D. You 24 years young, girl. You're looking great. You're feeling great. You're doing great in life. You're doing amazing. And I'm so proud of you, and I love you more than anything. I've sat here and talked about you for hours, on Wend Wellness. But, I give you all the love in person, and, we could sit here forever. But we're going to have some fun today, baby. Going to the beach, maybe play some poker, eat some good stuff. Let's see what we got on here. Say what's up to the people. That's right. Happy birthday, Natty girl. Everybody, she's a doctor at 24. She was a doctor at 23. Super smart, has the looks, has the personality, has literally everything. Works out like crazy, super healthy. She's a model of good health, to be quite frank. Walla Walla. Yeah, calisthenics. Yeah, I wouldn't stop eating meat in total. Yeah, we just talked about. Robert, what's up? Oh, well, vegans, they don't have animal-based products, right? So very similar to vegetarians. They're missing all really the same stuff that I mentioned. Dominic, Skater, BK Ham, Young Trust, JT, YFL, Dioza, Robert Paris, Tommy Reed, Chef Tony, Mueva Tekintura, Tona Tapava, Kevin Clark, y'all. It's Kevin Clark, y'all. What's up? Disanobos. Mano Salva, we got OGs up in here. It's Kamal, what's up? Malcolm, what's up, dude? Happy today, man. Get a wave up in here. R. Phillips, Gary Morris, Louis Staxit, The Saunders, Sabia, hello. C9, Kevin, Ash, what's up, girl? Glad you got discharged. Just saw your text, gotta answer you. Glad you're doing better. No Filter, Dave. Beast from the East up in here. How you doing? I did some back today, man. It was really good. I did a bunch of lat pull downs, and I did a bunch of, extension stuff, reverse flies, however you want to call it. Yeah, good morning, Palmer, bro. That's right, Walla Walla. Represent. As for now. So we got for you, folks. We'll see you tomorrow, baby. Not sure where, not sure when, but we'll see you then. Have an amazing day today. Thank you guys so much, and happy Wend Wellness. We won't be at the office. We'll be hanging out with Baby D. We took off for that special occasion. See you tomorrow.